Hello and welcome to another GameXplain discussion. I'm your host, John Cartwright, and today I'm joined by Daan to discuss his time with Super Mario Party. So Daan, you went to Nintendo to play this, right? And I kind of want to know, what makes this one special?
I feel it's a return to form. It has been a while since we saw actual regular Mario Party, even in the context of the handheld games, where it didn't feel like that in Island Tour. Star Rush was really the grid board thing, although that was really fun, and the top 100 was just minigames. So even in that context, it has been a long time since we had like a regular board-styled Mario Party game. And yeah, the Mario Party mode is that. Like, it offers multiple boards, of which I got to see 2. So our demo was mostly focused on seeing Mega Fruit Paradise, which was showcased a little bit during Gamescom, but we got a way better idea for it. We got to play almost the entire game. Our footage runs until the 6th turn, but we got to see the entirety of how the board game looks like.
Cool. So you actually did an analysis on Mario Party not long ago.
Mm-hmm.
So did you get like more of an impression on this game than the footage provided in the analysis gave us, or was it kind of the same kind of beats that we've already seen?
It was the same beats. At the same time, I now got to fully experience it. Like, I was thinking about the lucky and unlucky spaces, and I didn't really know for sure if that was the case, and obviously it is. And I actually got to see like the unlucky space in action. For example, it now can take away coins and give them to the other players, or it can just take coins away without giving it to anybody, or even take a star away. There's a bunch of possibilities there in the form of a roulette.
Mm-hmm.
The same goes for the lucky space. We got to play around with all of the items, including one of them I didn't really mention in the discussion, but we saw it during the footage, which was the tornado item, which makes a return from Star Rush, which steals coins from one of your rivals. So in the instance during our game, it can either steal 5 or 10 coins. It stole 5 coins for me just before a star, but I just got him back the next minigame and I got the star anyway.
So who did you play as in your time with the demo?
It was predetermined for us. I got to play as Wario.
Okay, so what kind of dice did Wario have? Because obviously there's the standard dice, but then there's the character-specific dice, which has different attributes. So what went on with Wario's dice?
So there were 2 options of -2 coins, which is less severe than Bowser's, where you lose 3, so it's still losing 2 coins. Basically, the coins you would earn if you are in 3rd place in a minigame. But the other 4 options were 6, 6, 6, 6.
It's very menacing for Wario.
Yeah, so basically you get a guaranteed 6 or a guaranteed losage of 2 coins.
That's quite interesting actually, because you have the chance to do really well, because obviously 6 is the most you can get on most dice.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, it could punish you in a really bad way. So this sounds like a really interesting wrinkle to the Mario Party formula.
Yeah, they introduced it with Star Rush, but it feels more significant here, because you go for the stars and go for the board and try to get there as fast as you can. So there's more of a significance and importance here. So you can opt for the regular dice if something is very close by for 1 to 6, but if you want to take a big gamble and a big leap ahead towards the star, like 6 makes the most sense to roll.
I've heard you compare this to Star Rush quite a bit, actually, in our own personal time. Do you reckon that's because Star Rush is perhaps most synonymous with the original games? Or does it like lend a lot of functions from that game?
It lends a lot of functions from that game, but also a lot of functions from old school Mario Party. It's a combination of the two, right? The more structured, more the way the board is structured, how you move around, that's obviously from a old school Mario Party game, but like how the dice are concerned and how you collect bodies that can help you roll the dice, those are obviously from Star Rush, but they are implemented in a way that really makes sense, because having them here, it means that you can easier move ahead, you can easily throw higher dice, and you can also take multiple risks to get yourself to the star quicker, which also makes it easily a very high scoring game.
In terms of actual mini-games, I'm getting quite a big Wii vibe from Super Mario Party, because obviously you play this game with a single Joy-Con, and there are a lot of motion-orientated games. How do you find that is balanced? Because I've seen a lot of people complaining that the game doesn't support the Pro Controller, and do you think it justifies that? And are these games that could only be played with a Joy-Con?
Yeah, there obviously are minigames that can only be played with the Joy-Con. You saw one of them in the analysis where you have to move around the Joy-Con into a certain position. There are also a bunch of minigames where, for example, with where you grill a steak, like the cubed steak, obviously that works better for Joy-Con because there's easy flicks where you move it up and then move the Joy-Con around to ensure that it moves around the pan. It's very nice and very subtle. Obviously, at the same time, I felt that the games in the Wii one were extremely gimmicky. Like, very, very gimmicky. Almost to the point of laughable in some cases. Here, where they do it, it makes sense. And it feels more controlled. Like, it doesn't go over the top, and it knows what it wants to be. In other instances, it just uses the basic button control scheme with the stick and the 4 face buttons, which works really well. For example, one of the games that I played is called Stake Your Claim, where you just have to grab the biggest space, and based on the space that you claim across just a grid-based board, that's how many points you earn during that round. It's very easy to do with buttons, and I think it could be done with a Pro Controller, but a combination of both those types of minigames, like both motion and button sake, like a Joy-Con feels well made for it.
Yeah, I guess the Joy-Con's more versatile than a Pro Controller, and I guess it just enables more mini-games, really.
It's also just very handy to have, easier to have 4 Joy-Cons than a bunch of Pro Controllers. Especially if you want to play it with 4 people, like fully, it's way quicker and way more convenient to have 4 Joy-Cons lying around with each a Joy-Con strap attached to it.
So were there any specific mini-games that really appealed to you? Any ones that really stood out among the others?
So one of them made really good usage of the HD Rumble, which was called Rattle and
Sounds good already.
You have to pay close attention to the rumbling of your Joy-Con, because every character that you see pop up after the curtain opens has a specific motion in the rumble. So you get a difference between 3 types of rumbling. And then afterwards, you will hear one specific rumble of those 3, and you will have to select the right answer.
That sounds really cool. And I guess that kind of makes more sense with a single Joy-Con as well, because in my personal experience, I found HD Rumble is more intensive when you have a split Joy-Con in one hand.
Yeah, it also just very subtle movements too. Like, and it gets really hard. Like the third turn, all of the characters are underwater, and they move across the water in a very different speed. And 2 of them feel extremely similar, where all of us got that third round completely wrong. And all of us 3 chose one answer, I chose another answer, but all of us got it wrong because it was the middle option. And we were so pissy about that too. Like, man, could we do this better? Should we listen more? And no, it's that subtle. You have to really hold it tight and listen to it.
One thing I'm kind of interested in, obviously it uses gyro and buttons. Were there any games that use the IR sensor?
Not so far I have seen, no.
It'd be interesting to see if that happens, because to my knowledge, only a couple of games do. 1-2-Switch has the sandwich eating minigame.
Yeah.
Resident Evil Revelations 2 has reloading with IR aiming. And then there's Labo, of course, which does basically everything with IR.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds really varied as it is, so yeah, it'd be cool if they do something like that, but if not, then there's already a ton of variation so far, it seems.
Yeah, it also has the feeling of you can screw each other over. Like I already mentioned, the tornado item. You have a bunch of different items that you can buy from the store. There are various events that take place, and of course you can bump each other in minigames. Like I did the barrel one again where we saw on Gamescom, and it came down to bumping each other around and pushing me all the way back. So it has that feeling back of being the best player that you can be and screw everybody else.
That's something that's really been missing with recent Mario parties. It feels like they've tried to even the playing field. And it sounds like with Super Mario Party, you can really screw each other over, which is obviously something you really want in this kind of party game.
Yeah, one of the other games that we saw was called Heir to a Fortune, where you have to where all of the coins are spread around clouds. It's a coin collecting game, one of those again, and you choose a direction by choosing one of the face buttons on the Joy-Con, and all the different clouds have a specific coin amount. For example, the one in the middle has 3, the one at the left of you had 2, and the one beneath you has 1. So you have to now make the choice: do I go for the risk and think that nobody else will check the middle cloud, or go to the left and just take 2 guaranteed coins? And it's sort of that mental play that I felt was lacking in the last few Mario Party games.
I'm loving all these risk-reward mechanics, they sound excellent. One thing I'm kind of wondering though is how did you feel about the board itself? I think that's kind of been a point that's been up for contention with a lot of people in the community. That all the features sound great, but how are the actual boards?
The boards are smaller in size. I feel that all of the boards are more close encounter based. Like, you need to think just ahead. So if one star disappears, it won't take long for a next star to be collected. So some players will definitely take issue with that. At the same time, they add wrinkles to them to ensure that you need to stay at some points ahead of the curve. Like, one of the boards I played once again is Megafruit Paradise, where you have to jump into specific pipes to get to the other side of the board. So that early on can really throw you for a loop there, and you really need to decide of what you want to do. Outside of that, it basically comes down to getting the correct items, getting the stars, staying ahead of the other players, and doing the best you can in the minigames to collect more coins to get more things to do. It's different from regular Mario Party in that everything is more spread out, especially if you play it with 4 people. At the same time, I do think I like that, because also the minigames take a bit longer, everything moves around at your own pace. Like, 10 turns took about 60 minutes. So I feel that, like, the pace and how it is all set up is completely fine.
Yeah, that is interesting, because Mario Party games can last a long time. Especially in the earlier games. So it's interesting to see that they've maybe made it a bit more rapid, perhaps. So yeah, that could be really lend itself to the game mode there. But of course, that wasn't the only game mode. What other kind of modes did you get to try while you're at Nintendo?
I got to try the River Survival mode, which it's also at show at PAX. Obviously, I got to play some actually on the television with direct feed, so I could just focus on playing the game instead of holding a camera. And that was actually really entertaining, because basically, while you move from point to point, you do the raft motions and try to get around the river together. And then, if you hit minigame balloons, you have to do cooperative minigames to help each other win and get a certain rank. So from S to C, to get a certain amount of time to get yourself forward in the track and stay longer in the game. So honestly, it was really, really interesting how it was set up, because you actually have to coordinate in how you do certain minigames. For example, one of the early minigames that we played was where all 4 players have to throw a boomerang towards pokies, and sometimes a pokey is extremely lengthy and has multiple like little bubbles to its body, so you have to all like throw the boomerang at a certain point to ensure that he gets small extremely fast. So we just went, oh, he's coming, boom, he's coming, boom, he's coming. We just went back and forth like that, and we got an S rank this way, which felt really satisfying to do. Another one was net worth, which you saw in trailers a lot, where all of us have to raise the net by throwing up the Joy-Con and putting a bunch of cheeps in a little pool behind us. So when we saw like a gold one coming, which is worth 3 points, we said 2, 1, throw, 2, 1, throw. And we actually had to like coordinate all the freaking time with all of these minigames. And it actually was really exciting to do. Like, and it felt like what the car was trying to do, where you kind of have to cooperate with each other, but a whole lot better and more like little more interesting in how the minigames were designed.
This sounds really interesting. But it's making me wonder, is this perhaps the reason that not all the minigames are available for online play? Because I think to our knowledge, only a handful are. And it sounds like maybe that might be why, like the social barrier.
Yeah, I think that some of the minigames are purely focused for the Mario Party mode, while others are focused for River Survival. Which I honestly think is totally fine. They're both separate modes and do their own thing. Honestly, I can see how they both work in their own specific ways. And Marioton, what I saw during Gamescom, it had like 4 or 5 rows of like 5 minigames that you play. So that might be why it's there, because they're also like in the regular boards. There are 2 versus 2 games, 1 versus 3 games, and I don't think those are there. There's only free-for-all minigames in Marioton.
So, in your demo, did you get to experience the plaza at all, or was it all just done by a demo menu?
We were not allowed to see the plaza. Which seems weird.
Yeah, a little bit. So they did kind of show it off during the your analysis video a little bit.
Yeah, and they also showed it during the recent overview trailer which just released in Japan. Where we called something, because in that analysis we said that there seems to be more than just the one rhythm minigame.
Right.
Because we saw just a stage. We didn't see anything else. We didn't see a minigame. And as it turns out, during that last overview trailer, they showed like 6 different rhythm minigames.
Yeah, you called it.
Yeah! So hey, that's another option where they throw in a bunch of minigames too. So how they spread out the minigames is really interesting, because basically they're spreading them across like 3 or 4 different modes, because you have the 2 versus 2 mode like in Star Rush. You have the Mario Party mode, you have River Survival, and that rhythm game option. So
was there anything that you didn't really like about Super Mario Party? Because so far you've been pretty positive about all the new features and how they lend themselves to different modes, but was there anything that stood out to you as something that may not be quite what you wanted it to be?
The board portion, not so much. Even River Survival was really interesting. Honestly, it just felt really fresh. Like, after a while of like really underwhelming Mario Party games, it just felt good. And maybe I'm just still in the marriage period where everything just feels nice. And the actual like syncing comes in when I'm actually playing the game for review. But honestly, so far, like, I am super excited for this game. Like, really, really pumped for it.
That's so great to hear, because honestly, I'm not sure what the last Mario Party I really enjoyed was. I mean, I liked Star Rush a lot, but as for the last one I really loved, it would have been like a decade ago, honestly. It's been a long time.
7 has been a very long time ago.
So it's great to hear it's basically returned to form. Hopefully everything else is great too, because I believe, was it just the one board that you got to play on?
I got to play another board, but we weren't allowed to record it.
I see, okay.
But I also got to play some Toad's Rec Room.
Okay, so how was that?
Where you use the 2 switches against each other, yeah. I got to play the tank minigame where you play in teams of 2, and you attach 2 switches to each other to create a playing field. There are like 3 basic maps, and then you pretty much can put the 2 switches in any way you want to create that playing field. So for example, in one instance, I just created 2 big walls on either side, so we first had to blow up a bunch of blocks to get to the other side of it. And this created paths where we could just shoot to the other side and instantly pull them down and get a kill. And there was another way that was possible by just putting the 2 Joy-Cons against each other in like a V-shaped form and selecting a certain map where we could just stand around the corner, wait for them to come, and just shoot them down.
This is so fascinating. Like, we've not seen this mode before. Like, we've never seen them put 2 switches together and have them kind of work together like this. So it's so interesting to see how it works. And in your experience, was it seamless? Like, were there any issues?
Yeah, it was really seamless. Like, outside of like the bezel stuff where like a tank could hide, outside of that, it felt very seamless. We played another game where you have to put the shape of a banana together, like that banana game that they showed during the treehouse. And yeah, it just felt very seamless. Like, once you have the shape right, you slide over both screens in one swipe, and it just accepts it.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, we've never seen this feature before, so it's insane that it just works the way it does.
I was amazed by it. Like, there's never been a Switch game like this, where it uses two Switches together in a way that can create new experiences. And we saw a bunch of them right now. There's also like the baseball minigame and what have you, where you also just play two Switches against each other. And all of that stuff just seems very seamless.
So, Super Mario Party has this seamless two-switch display system. It has HD rumble, has gyro, has a use for single Joy-Con. It sounds like a great multiplayer game.
Yeah.
It kind of sounds like it uses all the Switch's specific features in a really interesting way. And this may be the tech demo that some people are looking for all these features as well. It's like, say you just bought a Switch and you want like a HD rumble showcase. Do you reckon this is what people should get?
I mean, there is a bundle in Europe and Japan that comes with two Joy-Con. So how they're handling it makes total sense. And honestly, I think it's a better deal than what 1-2-Switch tried to do. Because you're getting a fun multiplayer game with boards, with rhythm games, with two Switch multiplayer, with all these bunch of features that just make sense. And using the Joy-Con with these, using purely the touchscreen with these, because some of them use the touchscreen only, like for example that banana game. All of this stuff thrown together, it's just a showcase of what the Switch can do in a local multiplayer environment. And honestly, it just felt really special. Like how everything fell together and was made for the Switch in a certain way. It just makes sense. And it reminded me a lot of how I found Wii Party U to be a better tech demo than Game & Wario. Because it was still in its own right a really fun game, but it also showcased what the two-screen setup could do. And that's how I feel about Super Mario Party. And it feels like when IndieCube gets free range to do whatever they want, they make some really interesting games. And I feel that they got more free reign to do what they wanted to do with Super Mario Party.
So, Daan, were there any final thoughts you had on this game? Because so far, it just sounds like it's doing everything right.
Yeah, and I was honestly surprised by how much it did right. I had some skepticism going in, even a little bit, because I just wanted this to be good. And honestly, after playing this for like 2 hours or so, it just felt like... Secretly, it just felt like the follow-up of Wii Party and Wii Party U, which are two games I absolutely love to play in multiplayer.
Uh-huh.
But this takes it a step further with introducing like the Mario characters to it and just giving it not a numbered Mario Party name, but just calling it Super Mario Party. They're doing a lot of stuff right, and it's the first time I feel this excited about playing an IndieCube game.
Right, yeah, it's been a while. And I also want to say, the game is visually spectacular. I love all these small character animations they have, like when they're walking across the board, and when they're like holding their dice and they're looking around. It's so alive. Like, it looks so good.
When they're collecting a star, like at the top left, you see then the character coming in who gets it, and then 3 disappointing faces at the bottom right. It's so good. I like that a lot. Also with the character variation, what they have there, like all of them have different dice variations, so it makes them also very interesting to start with a different character once in a while. So they're actually encouraging that too. So in general, like, they're making just a really fun party game.
And on that note, I think that's all we have to say about this for now. But Daan, this game sounds absolutely spectacular. And you can of course find Daan on GameXplain, but you can also find him in other places. So Daan, where exactly can we find you?
Just follow me on Twitter at Nintendaan, that is NANTNDAAN, and there you see all the things that I put out.
Okay, and you can of course follow GameXplain on Twitter, find us on Facebook, and yeah, that's it for today. So thank you guys so much for watching, and of course be sure to subscribe to GameXplain for more on Super Mario Party, and other things gaming too. Until next time, bye!